Hey, welcome back to the Merriment Making Podcast, and today's episode is very special because I'm announcing something that is probably going to change the rest of this year and maybe even my life. It's a love letter and a launch. I am officially kicking off the 11K Acts of Merriment Project, where I am committing to do 11,111 acts of kindness, joy, and merriment, all before my next birthday on June 21st, 2026. This is about making joy a movement and turning little sparks into a bigger fire. And it's about the fact that one small act can change a day, and sometimes it can really change a life. So let me tell you everything I can about this. A few years ago, my cat Bug died unexpectedly, and people who were following me really felt like they knew him because I had posted so many pictures of him and sharing all the weird things that cat did. My dad and Bug were also very, very close, and his grief for him was so deep, and I wanted to do something that felt good and magical for honoring and celebrating Bug and also for helping my dad process this. And I ended up doing two things. One of them was I did a mail art call and ended up having hundreds of you all over the world send these beautiful handmade cards to my dad, and he saved everything. It was something that meant so much to him, and in that way I both facilitated something that was very kind and helpful for him, but also demonstrated that by doing one thing you can see a ripple effect happen and other people get to participate in something and help create something so wonderful. And then the other thing that I did was I hand assembled about 300 colorful pinwheels, and I just covered my dad's front yard with them. My intention was that every time the wind blew, Bug was going to be saying hi to him, and I left this note, whenever the wind moves through these, Bug is with you. And it took a really long time to put all those pinwheels in the yard, and at first, nothing happened, not a single spin. So I started to get really upset, and I thought maybe it meant something, and I walked around the house to the backyard where Bug was buried. And I sat there and I stuck one orange pinwheel in the soil near his grave because that's my dad's favorite color. And I whispered to Bug, I need you to believe in this. And I explained what it meant. And then instantly that pinwheel started spinning so much that it actually almost came out of the ground. And when I went back around to the front yard, the entire yard was just spinning with all of the pinwheels. And I don't know if that was just the weather, right? All I know is that when my dad came home, his face was lit up, and that yard stayed full of pinwheels for a really long time. He just didn't want to mow them. And then now I just make sure that he always has at least one pinwheel in the yard because that is just his connection to Bug. And I really believe in ripple effects. You may never really know how far your gesture travels, but it really does matter. A huge part of the inspiration for this project came from a man on Instagram. His username is GAGIEGGRAM. And his proclamation was, I'm going to run a mile for every new follower that I get. And people just immediately started rallying behind him, and his audience started growing. And I loved people saying hey, I'm following you, I'm supporting you, sorry for the new mile that you have to run, right? And watching him and his tenacity, I thought, what if I did something like this, but I did it with spreading joy and kindness? And I mean, I love what he's doing, obviously, but I like the idea that what I could do is a gift that keeps going and keeps giving. So that's what this is. One follow for one act. But honestly, I'm going to be doing this no matter what my follower count is. The goal is the same, 11,111 acts. I think that we've all been told that being happy is a reward. It's the dessert that you get after you've eaten all your vegetables and processed all your trauma and finished all your tasks. But as I've been telling you for years, neuroscience tells us the opposite. It's that happiness really fuels our resilience because dopamine motivates us to engage with our lives, and serotonin and oxytocin help us regulate our mood and build trust. And positive emotions spread for real. A 10-minute interaction can affect the mood of people 3 degrees of separations away. So your smile in a grocery store line might be remembered by someone that you'll never meet. And that is how the ripple works. So my approach might be different or maybe surprise you, because not all of the things that I'm going to be doing are going to be the quote standard acts of kindness. Meaning if you Google acts of kindness, you are going to see things like put coins in a vending machine and donate clothes and leave compliments. And those ideas are wonderful, and we are going to be doing them as well. And I also believe that dancing in a grocery store aisle, or wearing a banana costume in public, or holding up a sign on the side of the road that says you're doing great also matter and count. And I believe that because I think that joy is contagious. And I think that showing people what it's like to live, not just out loud, but like you, is an act of service. So in this project, I'm going to be doing acts of kindness and acts of joy and acts of silliness and absurdity and merriment. And I want you to participate with me. I want you to make this yours. If you're a teacher, maybe your act is letting your class have a music break. Or if you're a barista, maybe it's slipping a little heart into someone's latte art. If you're a doctor, maybe it's giving a sticker to your patient. Or if you're a hoarder of craft supplies, this is your moment, my friend. You're going to be able to cover bulletin boards and washi tape and glitter, you know? So let's talk about the logistics and how you can join. There's a public tracker, and you can see every act that I log and that you submit at uncustomary.org/11K tracker. Now, I'm doing my absolute best to update this as often as I can, and each entry has the date of the act that was done, the type of act. We have different subtypes. So there are things like kindness to strangers, joy in public spaces, creative expression, snail mail and gifts, service and support, cheerleading and celebration, community building, and also group missions, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then there's a very long subtype list that will probably evolve as we continue. So there's everything from compliment giving to sidewalk chalk art to leaving a review to performance art. There's so many different kinds of ways that we can participate. There's descriptions where I can give a more comprehensive idea of what was happening, a location, whether media was captured, and then if that happens, then there's a link where I will link you to the exact video or podcast or whatever was documented, and then how many people were impacted. So if it was just a compliment, then I will write 1. If I sent out 10 postcards, then I will write 10. If it was an event, I will write how many people were there. And this is a public tracker. So that means that you can view the spreadsheet at any time during the day during this year. You can't edit it, but you can view it. Now, the submission form is where you can submit your own acts to count towards this entire goal. And that is at uncustomary.org/11K submission. You can include anything that you've done from this entire year. So you get to share what you've done. You get to be anonymous if you want. You can also share your Instagram handle. You can upload photos and video and tell me how many people you've impacted. There's also going to be 3 main features on my Instagram feed every single week for the rest of this year. My Instagram handle is at Merriment Maker, MERRIMENTMAKER. On Sundays, there's a new group mission idea that you can try that week. No, rules with anything. There's just inspiration for things that you might want to try. Wednesdays, there's going to be a feature of something that I have done for the project. There's probably going to be more. I'm just saying that every Wednesday you'll get something. And then Fridays, there's a community spotlight from your submissions. So every Friday, I'm going to pick something from the submissions and I'm going to feature it. And everything that gets submitted on the submission form, I am going to also translate that and upload it onto the tracker. We also have another really great link, which is just the main project page. It's an overview. It has everything, the links, the tracker, the submission form, and there's also a free download of 111 ideas to spread joy. And you can just get a great overview of everything. You don't have to keep track of all the links. It's all right there for you. And you can get that at uncustomary.org/11K. And when I say 11, it's the number. So uncustomary.org/11K. So I know that some people are going to push back because that's how the world is and say things like, just complimenting someone doesn't really make that much of a difference. Smiling or holding open a door, it's not that big of a deal. But the truth is that those things add up. I really actually want to highlight the granular, very small, simple micro moments. In fact, it's maybe the only way that we can get to 11,000 acts in less than a year. We cannot have places that showcase good news, like a Good News Network or Tank's Good News or Good News Movement or anything, or even my website and social media, without someone first doing a positive thing, then documenting that thing, and then sharing it. We have been, complaining about the feeling of being inundated with negative negative news for a very long time, but you'll notice that there is not just a feeling of a lack of good news, but it's because we're not giving ourselves the permission and validation to document the seemingly trivial and simple things. I believe that nothing is too small to document and to share, because if we do that, we're going to continue to show that this is still happening in the world. And I think that at the end of this year, of this time frame, if I can show you that all of these things do add up, maybe complimenting a stranger's neon satchel in JCPenney isn't changing the entire world, no. But if I can show you that I've done and facilitated over 10,000 things in 1 year, oh my goodness, then yeah, I can show you that it really does add up, right? We've hit the goal. We've inspired others to do their version. We have documented and shared it. And it makes a difference then, right? We can't argue with those numbers. I also want to tell you that this project is not just for people who wake up happy every day. I am not somebody who wakes up happy every day. I have never told you that I was. I work at this. This is for you. This is for people who are in pain, for the chronically ill, for the neurodivergent, for the people who are still here despite everything. I am raising my hand for all of those things. You are allowed to feel weird and still go. You can cry while writing your compliments. You can be frustrated if somebody takes your note down. We will talk about the nuances of this kind of thing. I have been doing public installations of guerrilla art on a small and large scale for much more than a decade. And I understand the frustrations of having things destroyed and defaced and devalued. You can feel like you're not making a dent and still keep going. And you have been doing that in so many ways already, but we don't need to let the world and society or comments or whatever stop us from being the change that we want, right? The world taught us that activism is angry and that art is only for talented people and that joy is naive. And I am saying no to all of those things. I'm flipping that around and I'm telling you that I want to make happiness look like you. When I talk about dancing in a store aisle, I want you to dance like yourself. I want you to dress like yourself. I want you to decorate like yourself. I want you to interpret every group mission the way that you want to. When I was doing the Merriment Mondays live announcement about this, there were some people who were there live and I was talking about like writing some compliments down on a sticky note, and someone was saying, oh, I have so much washi tape that I was imagining this, and then we just kind of riffed about how we could do that and brainstorm different versions of it. When I say make a sticky note compliment, it doesn't have to be a sticky note. It could be a bulletin board. It could be a giant poster. You could write out your answer, your compliment in washi tape. You could make 100 sticky notes. You could do a wall. There is absolutely no limit to how you can interpret this and how creative you can be with it. I want your happiness and your kindness and your joy and your silliness and your acts to mimic your brain, to look like you, and for this to be an outlet for you to express yourself and to attract other people. I want this to be messy and magical and present and weird and kind. The best way to give to ourselves and to others is to be exactly who we are. And I think that this is a really, really, really good idea. So your first challenge, if you want, is you could send someone a specific compliment right now. You could text them, DM them, voice note, whatever. You could also write, like I said, the sticky note. You could leave it somewhere for a stranger or your roommate to find. You could do both of those things in less than 5 minutes. That's already 2 ripples in the water. And then you could go to the submission form and log them. Don't forget to take pictures. I know that maybe it seems selfish or self-indulgent or voyeuristic, or I don't know what the thing is in your head that maybe feels like this is not an okay thing to do, but I want to really hit it home that there are plenty of things that we can do that no matter what happens, it still affects the person, right? You sending a text, a DM, and a voice note with a compliment absolutely still makes an impact without documenting it and sharing it with someone else. Same with the sticky note, same with any act of kindness. That doesn't have to be documented. It's not that. It's that the goal of this project is to showcase to people who maybe are apathetic or pessimistic or feeling nihilistic or feeling like there is no good news in the world that, dude, look at this data. Look at this evidence. I'm telling you that thousands and thousands of things happened in less than a year, and people from all over the world contributed to it. And we have the evidence to prove it. I want to look people in the face and say, when people are telling me that the world is going to crap, I want to say, maybe in that department, but I want to say, look at this spreadsheet. This one beautiful spreadsheet, because I do not like spreadsheets. This one beautiful spreadsheet is this beacon of hope for the world. And this is one beautiful example of how much good there is. Not left, but still. So if you want to watch this unfold, join me at uncustomary.org/11K and follow along on Instagram at Merriment Maker. Submit your acts, tell your friends, follow me, share the pinned video on my Instagram account. Let's see what happens when joy goes viral. We're going to change the internet. We're going to change the world. And also, if you're listening to this inside of the Positive Pulse, which is my free community, we're almost at 800 people. It's so great. I have some extra goodies for you that kind of go along with this whole theme. So you're going to get a list of 50 places and ideas to leave random acts of kindness, 50 ready-to-use ideas for notes of things that you can write down, of like phrases to brighten someone's day, 25 unique compliments to give, and the list of 111 acts of joy as a PDF. And you can grab them right now when you hit play on the replay of this episode inside of the Positive Pulse. There's a whole section in the library of free resources of spreading joy. So remember, you have to feel good to do good. Your ripple matters, and let's go. Spread this around. We can do whole groups. You can meet up with your friends. You can just challenge yourself. How many can you do in a week? How many can you do in a month? How many can you do in a year? If everyone listening did 10 in a year, I mean, oh my goodness, this is just incredible. The opportunity, the potential of this is massive. Merriment, massive potential. Let's go.